Welcome, everybody, to Catfish Weekly, along with Chad and Josh. I'm Lyle. And, boys, we got some stuff to talk about today.
We're going to school today.
We are. I sent you a message, and you and Chad a message, I don't know, it's a few weeks ago, about I never have understood why people put generators in boats to charge their batteries when all they need is an extra set of batteries, would be lighter weight, cheaper, and you ain't got the noise and vibration scaring off all the fish. It's just it never made sense to me. And you said, well, that's easy to do. I said, we need to do a show about that. And here we are a few weeks later, and I still think it's a great idea, especially the reason why I thought about this, as I told you guys, my boat has dual consoles. In one side, I have 2 batteries for a 24-volt trolling motor. Underneath the other console is a spot just like it, pre-wired from the factory for another set where I could do the same thing. Although, if I was to buy a new trolling motor, and I might have to as it looks, I would probably go with a 36-volt.
Oh, they're wonderful. 36
just,
is
awesome. Just because they ain't that much more and you get a lot more. But I have had this one I've got for years and years and years and years. It's been, it's let me down a couple of times, but basically it's been pretty good old motor. And now the motor I think is bad. All the brushes are out of it or something. We're going to probably fix it because if I'm going to spend that kind of money, like I say, if a whole bunch of money, I just buy a new one. But we'll see where that goes. You and I will do some discussing and testing on it, Josh, and we'll see where we're at. But I think this is going to be a great show, and I think it's going to help a lot of people understand more about electricity and how it operates and how to test things. And I just think it's going to help a lot of people. But before we get started with that, what do you say we welcome some people in chat, Chadwick? And I think we have some results tonight.
We do have some results, and I will go through those right here, right now. We've got straight from the Indiana Catfish Association. We'll go over, like we normally do, our top 5. This does not say where it was at, Mr. Lyle, but coming in 5th was Jefferson Parrish at 29.12 pounds. 4th place was James Halcomb and Charles Breedlove at 29.79. In 3rd place, Terry Holding and Mary Jane Wood with 32.75. In 2nd place, Corey Peterson and Travis Yost at 34.11. And 1st place, bringing home the money, Chris DeBusk and David Lockridge with 36.96 and a big fish of 10.77.
Very nice. Channel Cat tournament, I guess, and that's okay because they're a lot of fun, and the results are usually really close.
A few ounces separating all the places, and that's makes it an exciting tournament. So
I agree. That works out really well. So congratulations to all the winners.
All right, I'll run around through here real quick. First, member James Dockery Fishing. Member Uptown Chrissy Brown, member Pontoon Jody Catfishing, Big Skip Fishing, Jason Lamb, Hooks and Hammocks, member Brian B. Catfishing, John Patrick Jr., Troy from Real and Virtual Outdoors, Mark Barnum, member Fishing and Freedom, member Creole Catfishing. He wants to know if this show is going to teach us how to test a 9-volt battery with our tongues.
If you don't know how to do that by now, you weren't raised right. That's the only way. That's the only way you test a 9-volt battery.
We got Mr. Dave Funk, 922 Crappie Barbecue. Let me scroll down here just a little bit. We got River Catfishing. That sounds familiar.
It does. Welcome.
We got Mr. David Smith, Miss Christina Dunnigan, Brad Becks, Quiet Man Curtis, member Bumpin' Mike Greenwell, Joe Newman, got John Boy's Catfishing, Buck Williams, Steve Ransom, The Bullock Experience, we'll go ahead and I'll bring his up and we can give it to his question after I get done going through this real quick. We got Wabash Nate. Member Sean T. Outdoors. I like his question though too. Did Chad burn something up hooking up batteries wrong? No, I did not.
That's what we're trying. This is called preemptive.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We got Southland Fishing. Mr. Parker Pursuits.
Jerry has a video you and I was talking about, Chad, that has just went wild, and congratulations to him for that. It's a great video for starters, but it just goes to prove that if you get the thumbnail right, the content is correct, and you get a title in there like it needs to be, good things will happen for you.
And in Jerry's case, you just got to get 2 of the 3 pieces of puzzle. Because that's what he told me this morning. He's like, I didn't even put a fancy thumbnail up.
But it's working.
Congratulations, man. Those views are just going insane.
Absolutely.
We got small water charters. Size matter catfishing. And getting somewhere here, guys.
Whatever does he mean?
I don't know, but he sent me kind of a rude message before the show even started tonight. So,
Oh man, did you get David Smith?
Yes, sir. And I am now down to the bottom.
Fishing and Freedom. I know you got him. Indiana Outdoors, Indiana with Dave Scott.
I did not get Dave Scott.
You know, every time I see 922 crappie barbecue, I think of how good they would taste smoked in my smoker.
ooh, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And now that you're getting back out fishing for the first time in 12 years, maybe you can get out there and get you some of them crappie to smoke.
Thinking catfish.
Hey, you can always smoke some catfish and crappie.
I like. I've got what?
I said drum would be good smoked.
No,
Yes.
I'm not eating none. Stonefly, welcome, buddy. I'm not eating no damn drum. Those are nasty. You and Dockery, you can eat all of them you want. And believe me, there's no doubt in my mind that you two both ain't eating them.
They're good.
Yeah, that's what he says too, but I have not found that to be the case.
All right. Well, Kelly, if you want to put your question back in there, I'm not going to.
No, I was reading over that one. Kelly, elaborate on that for me, if you would. Because I've never heard of that one. What would be the point of doing that? And what is it supposed to accomplish? I guess is what I'm asking. So, because my initial answer to that is going to be no. There's no reason to do that. So,
All righty.
Mikey, drum would be good to cut up and use to catch the fish to smoke.
I actually have had trouble catching fish on drum.
I've never had a single bite.
Yeah, they don't even make good bait. Yeah, and I'll tell you something that I have give some consideration to. I have a gallon jug of skipjack oil that I got somewhere a few years ago. I have to shake it up every once in a while because it separates. I don't know if you've ever seen oil separate or not, but if I was to use drum, which I probably never will for anything, I believe I would inject that skipjack oil in the meat so that at least have a fighting chance of getting a bite.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'd get in trouble if I had a gallon of skipjack oil. Think of somebody I could get with it, put it on their cabin air filter or something.
Dockery
or
somebody.
Chad.
Yeah.
Well, I do have a gallon of it. The lid's been off of it once. just to see how bad it was, and it wasn't as terrible as you might think. But I often thought that it might make a good injectable into something like drum that I have never had any success catching fish.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Dockery. Yes, the bait shop whooped up on the other half here of.
It didn't look like it was going to be that way for a while. It really didn't. It looked like it was going to.
Chad, you won and lost on the same day. You're on both shows.
No, I had to pick a side. I chose Team Bait Shop, and Freddie and I whooped up on you too.
You guys done really good. Congratulations.
Yeah, you guys did a real good job. So.
It was a fun day for everybody, I think, and surprisingly, I think all of us was supposed to get rain all day long, and Freddie got quite a bit, and you got some, Josh, but we lucked out and got loaded up before it hit us.
Oh, it come a flood for a while I was up underneath that bridge. I was glad I was under the bridge.
Yeah, we had rain right at the start a little bit, but after that it just was cloudy the whole day, and it sprinkled a little bit, and it didn't do any more than that. And when it got close at the end, I told Cindy, I said, let's get ready to get the boat loaded before the tournament's over, before we get soaked. We haven't drowned it all day, and there's no sense of waiting until now.
Right.
So,
Rio, that'd be rough.
Top of an engine manifold has a similar effect. Yeah, I bet it does.
So, Josh, where you want to start out with this here?
I will start out anywhere anybody wants to run with this one. I have 3 batteries sitting here on the workbench.
Oh.
I've got the multimeter, so I'll be able to show you guys.
Do you have? Can you just do like a little seminar for us, and then when as we get questions, we might bring them up to you.
Yep. Let me turn the camera around. I'll get everything in place, and I've got a whiteboard. So if we come across a circuit that I can't make,
yeah, I'm going to put you on the bigger screen there. But I was thinking, definitely, I would love to show people the difference between and the reason why you would run parallel versus series, stuff like that.
Let's see here. Let's get that. That one looks a little better.
That looks good.
There we go. So let's get that back in. Drop it down just a hair. And we'll start out. Let's go over here these batteries. I've got one charging because I told Lyle and Chad before the show, I am glad that we did this show. And let me go ahead, and this is the time of year where if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Most of your batteries have a little cover here for your cells. Each one of those cells, let's see if I can move the camera down a little bit. Each one of those cells has water is filled up with water on a flooded lead acid battery. And I was telling the guys before the show, I figured since the batteries were out, I'd go ahead and take a look at them. And this battery here, all the rest of them were filled up, but this one here was low on water. So I've refilled it. And if you do refill them, make sure you use distilled water. Only ever use distilled water for your batteries.
Why?
You do not want the contaminants that are in any other kind of water.
Oh, but my purified Aquafina is not good.
It come out of a tap somewhere in Detroit. They just don't tell you that.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
But so I hooked this one up to the charger before the show. I've got all but 2 of the cells are already bubbling, which means this battery's probably fine. It was just a little low on water. A good trickle charge overnight, it ought to be good. Let's unplug that charger, put these on there, and we'll get started. And you can smell a hot battery. You will always smell a hot battery. They stink. They smell like sewer.
Smell like rotten eggs.
They smell like a sewer. And I noticed it earlier when I was walking past the boat. I said I smelled a sewer, and I couldn't figure out what it was coming from. Well, now I know what it was coming from. So
you just touched on something right there that people should do probably every spring is clean them battery terminals and wipe all that corrosion and stuff out of the way to prevent them from having connection problems all year.
Oh yeah, get you a brush. I mean, a parts brush is $1 at Harbor Freight. Get your parts brush. You can get in there. If you don't believe me about Harbor Freight, watch Keith's video from the other
That's
day.
right.
And he'll tell you the same thing I do. Harbor Freight's awesome. So,
Keith who? Never heard of him.
Oh well. But yeah, check your terminals. They make a spray. I don't know where mine is at the moment. I wish I had some. I would show it to you. But they make a battery terminal. They make a spray. It looks like red Kool-Aid that you spray on the battery terminals. Keeps them from corroding up and everything. But just a little bit of maintenance, a little bit of that. And if you do get one that's real corroded, if you had one and it baked that caked on looking stuff, Coca-Cola eat that right off there. So, and it's cheap, and you get, it only takes a little bit, and you can drink the rest of Coca-Cola, so you're good. But Chad was talking about series versus parallel. Sean T says he don't trust Harbor Freight stuff. I don't on some of it, but a brush is a brush is a brush. So, series versus parallel. The difference is a parallel circuit. The battery voltage coming out of that circuit stays the same, but the amp hours add up. So if this 100 amp hour battery, this 100 amp hour battery, and I put them in parallel, I've got 12 volts still because they're parallel, and I've got now 200 amp hours. So if I was running a 12 volt trolling motor, I now have twice the run capacity as I had. Now a series takes that, and that series, and I'm going to wire them up both ways here in just a second. But series, the voltage adds up, but the amp hours don't. So if I have if I have a 12 volt 100 amp hour battery, 12 volt 100 amp hour battery, and I put them in series, I now have 24 volts, but I still only have 100 amp hours. So we've got some jumper wires here. I've got a video on my channel. It's actually the #1 viewed video on my channel is setting up these in 12, 24, and 36 volts and talking about series and parallel. So if anybody misses it after the show, you can always go over and check that as well as watching this replay. But one of the things I always get asked about in that video is these jumpers. The only reason they're yellow is just so that I can tell the difference where they're at compared to the red and black wires going to the trolling motor. There's nothing special about these. They're, I believe, #6. I thought it said on there. Yep, #6 folk cable. This is a tinned cable. But what we're going to do, let's go ahead and get these nuts off here first. We'll take our first jumper. We're going to go, let's just call these battery 1, battery 2, battery 3. We'll just 1, 2, 3. We'll just do them that way. We're going to go from the negative terminal of battery 1 to the negative terminal of battery 2. And if any of y'all have ever jump started a car, you've done this. This is the exact same as how you would hook up for jump starting a car, because that's what you do when you jump start a car. Put the batteries in parallel, double, give a little bit more oomph to the starter to accommodate or to make up for that dead battery. So now we have
set to as many batteries as you want.
You could do this if I had 100 of these batteries. I could sit there and put them all in parallel, and I'd still have 12 volts, but I would have a lot of amperage. I could probably weld with it.
Yeah, probably so.
But let's see if I can get down. I can get this down here to where you guys can see the multimeter. What the heck? All right. I don't know if you guys can you see the?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to put the meter leads. I'm going to put the positive lead on battery 1 positive, Negative lead on battery 1, negative. It should read around 12 volts. 12.4 volts. See if I can get that where it's not quite glaring like it was.
There you go.
There we go. 12.5. So they need a little bit of a charge. Now I'm going to take these same probes and I'm going to go over to battery 2 and I'm still going to do the same thing. Positive to positive, negative to negative. Should be right about the same. 12.49 volts. And that is because those are in parallel. If we added battery 3 back there, we'd still have the same thing. We'd still have the 12 volts. But let's take one of these jumpers off.
Hey Josh, real quick on that. So, like I used to run a 12-volt trolley motor, and I did the same exact thing there. So your trolley motor cables would go to either one
of these batteries. And actually, I mean, you could take and put the trolling motor, as long as you have the trolling motor on a positive and on a negative, you could do it. The problem is if you were to, let's say you put it on the positive of battery 1 and the negative of battery 2. Now it's using this 6-gauge jumper just like a negative. This jumper is going to get hot if you're running that thing wide open. So put your trolling motor on one battery. That way it's drawing it straight out of these big terminals because they're meant to handle a lot of current. 6-gauge jumper will handle a lot, but it won't handle a ton. So.
Yeah. Dieter Melhorn would like to know what scent is that candle, and does he need that scent when doing this?
Well, that is Cinderella, and it's keeping the mosquitoes away. So, yes, I do need that tonight. That's a Cinderella candle. All right. So, we're going to take this jumper loose off of battery 2. We've still got it connected to the positive lead of battery 1. Now, I'm going to move this jumper over to the negative lead of battery 2. And this is where we start getting into, come back here. This is where we start getting into series. So now, these batteries are working in series, and we would take, if we were hooked, this is going to be a 24-volt setup. If you had a 24-volt trolling motor, you've got 2 empty posts that don't have a jumper on them. You're going to connect your negative to the negative post that doesn't have anything on it, and your positive to the positive post that doesn't have anything on it. Let's see if we can drop that down again. So I'm going to go right to those 2. Here, let me do this real quick. Positive is going to be this post here on battery 2. Doesn't have anything on it. Negative is going to go over here to this negative. You're going to go 24.6. You're going. Well, we got guesses going on now.
Are you betting, Lyle?
No.
23.976.
But you were wrong.
Batteries.
So we've got a 24-volt system there. And now we're going to take it even a step further because we got one more jumper. We're going to come off the positive lead of battery 2.
And he didn't tighten them cables up, Chad. Some of that could be connection issues.
I know.
I'm hand tightening these. You would obviously, if you were
snug them down,
you'd snug those things down. But we're going to go from the positive of battery 2 to the negative of battery 3. So now 1, 2, 3 are in series. We got 12, 24. We should be somewhere around 36. That opened up this positive terminal, and this negative terminal on battery 1, still the negative. We're going to drop this down. We should see somewhere in the neighborhood of 36 volts. 36.8.
So you got one out of the 3 batteries that's
one of them's got a real good charge right now,
and the others are dragging up to the hind tip.
Which, I mean, like I said, battery 1 was dry right before we started the show. I just filled it up with distilled water. I guarantee this battery's low.
Yeah.
We could see where it's at now. Oh, well, here, that's going to be a good thing because I get asked this a lot in that video, in the comments. So we've got a 36 volt system here, whereas from this negative post on battery 1 to the positive post on battery 3 gives us 36 volts.
Correct. But if you test the battery, that one battery, it's still just 12.
Right. So if I go from negative on battery 1 to positive on negative 1, or positive on battery 1, let me get that dropped down. 11.2 volts. So that battery's obviously low. That's why I had it charging before the show.
And that's why when guys buy multiple bank chargers for their boats, each battery has a positive and negative to hook up to them batteries.
Yes, and I've actually got a 3-bank NOCO Genius sitting right over here. We're going to hook up to this system here in a second, just how it is. So we're going to go negative battery 2 to positive of battery 2. That one's 12.7 volts. That battery's pretty well charged. We'll go battery 3, see where it's sitting. 12.9 volts. That battery's good. Battery 1's where we're losing our.
Sure.
So we're good, but we're good there.
Dieter says this makes absolutely no sense why it works above his intelligent level. Well, it makes perfect sense to me because I was in the industry of automotive for years, and it's basically all the same, except the difference between the old cars and the new cars. The old cars run positive and negative, and everything was run off of positive ground. Now they're all run off of negative ground, and everything is a little bit different. But the end result is you have to have a positive and you have to have a ground to make everything electrical work.
Yep, it has to flow through that. Has to flow through that circuit, and so we're going to have.
Buck Williams says Josh using probes makes me uneasy.
That's all you had to alien heads. So this right here, if you don't have an onboard charger, NOCO Geniuses are one of the best ones you can get for the money.
Oh yeah.
And one of the cool things about these is they actually have a desulfating circuit built in. So as they're charging your battery, it's also desulfating, which to really not get into the whole technical side of it, inside these flooded lead acid batteries are a bunch of lead plates, and that electrolyte solution, that battery acid, reacts with those. The chemical reaction is what gives you voltage. Over time, especially if your battery sits in a deep state of discharge, that sulfuric acid in there will make sulfate crystals on those plates. Those sulfate crystals don't like to react with the sulfuric acid, with battery acid, and you will have your battery. That's when your battery ends up dying. You know, you'll put a meter on it and say 12 volts. You'll hit the starter, nothing. But what these NOCO Genius chargers do, they take and send a high voltage pulse. High voltage, extremely high voltage, but extremely low amperage. So it's not going to damage the battery. And it sends that pulse through that battery, through those plates, and basically shatters those crystals. And then you can actually get a little bit more life out of your battery. But this charger has, to get 36 volt power on this setup, I would clip it onto the top battery, lower battery. All right. Yep. Battery one. Dieter, here's the, let me unplug my phone. That way it'll let me move it over here real quick. Whenever you make these, you're going to look for the terminals that have nothing, that do not have a jumper wire.
And those ones you use.
So this has a jumper wire. This one has a jumper wire. This has a jumper wire. This has none. This one does. So your negative post here on battery one would be the negative hookup point for your 36 volt trolling motor. We work our way up. This positive post on battery 3 has nothing on it. That's where your positive for your trolling motor would hook up. And we can actually get fancy here. If I can do this, I need a third hand is what I need. But we're going to take the negative post of battery 1. Let's see if I can get to it. All right. I'm going to be able to do it just because I have big hands. Look at this. To the positive of battery 2. And even in this 36 volt circuit, if I grab halfway through it, I'm still getting my 24 volts.
That's neat.
Just something neat there if you happen to do that. The only thing,
you could add as many batteries on there and make it as much as you want.
now, if we took, let's say we had 3 more batteries. I wish I had 3 more, and I'd do it right here on the bench. And let's say we set up another 3 batteries, just like this bank is here. If we came off that negative of this bank and ran it to the negative post of that other bank, and we came off the positive here and ran it to the positive post of that other bank, then we would go from having 36 volts at 100 amp hours, because we figure we're just going off the assumption that all 3 of these batteries are 100 amp hours. When you put them in series, you don't add up the amp hours. It's just 100 amp hours. But if we had another bank right here and we paralleled those negative to negative, positive to positive, we would now have 36 volt at 200 amp hours, which if you can't last all day on the Mississippi River running full tilt on 200 amp hours, buy a kicker motor. I don't know what to tell you.
Well,
but
now see, doesn't that make a lot more sense than having a generator and noise?
oh yeah. Now granted, you've got 75, 150 plus 75. We've got 225 pounds of added weight right here. If you have a 3 battery system and one charges slower than the rest, think it's low on water. There's a good chance that it is. There's a very good chance that it is low on water. And to check that, just you could pop the lid off there. They do make a hygrometer that it's a little bulb you could squeeze and suck up some of that battery acid, and it will show you it'll give you a good idea of the life of that battery or where that acid's sitting at quality wise. They're hard to find anymore for some reason. Used to, you could find them everywhere, and now you don't seem to find them. But most of
the maintenance-free batteries, Josh.
And that's what I was about to say, but a lot of batteries are maintenance-free. But you can still, I wish I had a maintenance-free battery. I'd show you guys, you can drill holes exactly where those cells are, and you can make them maintenance batteries because they do lose water over time.
They sure do.
But what we're going to do, this no-code charger has bank 1, bank 2, and bank 3, and they're all separate outputs. So we're just going to go 1, 2, 3. Let me get bank 1's wires loose. And I've got a 4 bank. I've got a 4 bank in my boat because I've got all 3 of these running the all 3 of these batteries run the trolling motor, and then I still have the starting battery for the motor. But all right, so hooking up a 3 bank charger. You've got positive and negative. We're going to drop that one on there.
Dieter says it's charging with a generator while using power on a motor. Is that bad on batteries? I say no, because the charge is a charge. Doesn't matter where it comes from.
Charging it with a generator doesn't hurt. Charging anything while you're also discharging it is horrible. Because the charging process creates heat. The discharge process creates heat. So now you're doubling your heat in this battery. You're going to shorten the life of your battery doing that. Will you ever notice it? Because no, probably not. Because let's face it, the lifespan of flooded lead acid batteries is not great.
And it got worse.
If you get 2 or 3 years out of one now, call the newspaper. But give them do a story on it, because usually I had one I bought last year. It's already dead. I already had to replace it, and now they're not even coming with a any replacement warranty. Now they're coming with a 12-month prorated thing. So the minute you walk it out of the door, it's about half.
It's just like buying a car. You drive it off the dealership, you lost 50% of what it's worth.
Yep. So we're going to do this. Now, me being me, I always put the charger, just because these things are a little bit bigger than the battery terminals, I always put the charger on the bottom and then put my jumper on there because it's better suited to that post. Does it matter? No, but I feel like I get a better connection that way, so I do it. This one, I broke one of the terminals one day, so I had to crimp a new one on. And there's one good thing while we're messing with this. On these no-cos, come here, they do have each output is fused. So each one of these has a fuse, and if you have a battery that isn't charging and you're running one of these no-cos, check that fuse first, make sure it didn't, something stupid happen with it.
I think they all have that now, all the brand name ones. And I have had those blow. And you think maybe your chargers went bad. And in fact, if you just check the fuses, the charger's probably still good.
Yep. And I'm going to show you how to check that fuse real quick with the multimeter in a second. So,
show them with a test light, too, if you have one.
You can do it with test light, but we're going to do it with a multimeter.
Stonefly71 said, so if you have a 3-bank charger, can you charge 2 batteries that are 12 volt off one of the legs of the charger?
You could, but you would have to.
It takes a lot longer.
You would have to parallel them, and it will work. I'm not going to say it won't work. It's not the best. It's not the best situation in the world, but it will work. One battery is always going to charge. Just chemically, they're different. One battery is going to always charge a little bit better than the other one. So I've put my meter. I'll get this down here. I put my meter in ohms, in resistance, but I've also hit the select button. So this is audible continuity. And basically what that means is if something is 0 ohms, can you guys hear the beep?
Yeah.
Okay. If something is at 0 ohms, means voltage will pass through it. It's going to beep that meter. So all we're going to do, we're going to pop the rubber cap off the top of that thing. And if you look at the top of these fuses, back here.
Wow.
Ouch.
He dropped us, Lyle.
I know.
Come here. There we go. All right. That's what happens when you try to do it live, but
that's right.
All right. Right in the center of the top of that fuse are 2 little metal contacts. That's your testing points for these fuses. You can take and test right there. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to take my meter probes, go up here to the top of this fuse. Ooh, that one's acting like it might be blowed. Nope, there it goes. It's just getting, yeah, there it goes. All right, so that one's got continuity in it. We check output number 2. That one's good. Come here, you. There we go. And that one looks like hell. But it's still good. So get a meter with audible continuity. Most of them have them anymore, and it just makes it so much easier. So we're going to take, let me plug this in closer to the beach. That's what's really messing me up. Here we go. So now we've got our thing here wired. Now this is all plastic on the back, so I'm not going to get too concerned about setting it down on the batteries. It's not going to short anything out. Famous last words, right?
That's right.
But so we'll go ahead and plug in our onboard charger. 1, 2, 3. All 3 banks are lighting up red, even though bank 3, battery 3. Remember I said it was almost full charge?
It is full charge.
Battery 3 is full. So this charger has gone ahead and kicked over to float mode, which means it's not charging that battery anymore. All it's doing is monitoring the voltage. If over time, if we set that battery dropped below its threshold voltage, it'd charge it back up. That one's doing. That's wild that those show up yellow on my phone, even though they're red. But bank 1 and 2 are charging. Battery 3 is at a full charge. Sean, you got more wires than EKG, but that's the truth, right? But it's all in just, I mean, the best advice I have is go slow. It would be extremely easy to try to throw all this together and get something out of whack.
Yep.
Either do all your charging terminals first or do your jumper wires first. That doesn't matter. Just figure, but do one and then do the other. That way you're not trying to do all this at once. Would be a nightmare. But 3 sets of red and black wires, pretty easy to put on each battery. And then just follow your jumper wires around. Then we can get to where we need to go.
I can tell you from experience too. I love the NOCO product line. When it comes to this, I actually have 3 of the bank chargers, kind of like that. So you can find them. Keep an eye out. Find them on sale. Pretty good prices, a couple times a year.
Let's see if we can get a reading on this back. This number 3 battery was the one showing a full charge. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna play with this. I wanted to play with this new toy anyway. This is a digital battery analyzer. It is analyzes battery by 4 different indices, which is voltage. Hard to see. Voltage, resistance, cold cranking amp value, and battery capacity. This is different than what a load tester would do. Load tester would give you a better idea, but we can try this, see what it does. All right, it's starting to. All right, so this says cold cranking amps. So 6. We're going to input the cold cranking amps of this battery, which is 678. Come back here. 675. And as soon as we hit OK, it should start running its test. Yep, there it goes. I know that's kind of hard to see at the moment. And it sounds like the microwave going off. But what we got, our battery, that top line there, our battery's testing good. We're showing 13.01 volts, 2.88 megohms on the internal resistance of that battery, which is fairly good for what it is. It's a little higher than I'd like to see. I'd like to see around 1.5 megohms, but I could deal with that. And these things are on clearance at Harbor Freight now. So you can, let's see here. Let's get that one. 675. Let's see how this one's looking. All right, 3.28 megohm. So you can see that one's gone up a little bit. That's probably a little bit of sulfation going on the plates. The higher that is, the more that battery struggles to put voltage out because it's having to fight internal resistance. But the battery's getting, it's analyzing good, 12.84 volts. It's right there at being fully charged. couple hours on that NOCO, and this thing would be good to go. Now, this is the one. This is the one I'm interested in. This is the one that I had to add water to before the show. This is the one that was smelling like a sewer a little while earlier today. It's already saying the battery's low. Oops. Let's reset it because I didn't set the right. Let's see here. Let that thing reset itself. I made it mad. Did you see that?
Yeah. Sounded like me whenever you make me mad.
Oh, yeah, all the beeping. All right. So we're gonna let it do a test on a fairly bad battery. All right, it's showing low, 14.8 mega ohm resistance, and battery sitting below 40%. So that's going to be one. This is going to have to charge, and that may be all it is. It may need a good charge. Let it work its thing in there, because if this thing's been low on water for a long time, then those sulfation crystals been forming up on it. But the charger and the desulfator, if it knocks those off, we might be in good shape. So we can plug the NOCO Genius in, let it start doing its thing, and that'd just be another one to test in the morning and see how it's doing there. But that gives you good indication, just real quick. That's how fast you can test that. I may be looking at replacing one battery, but my other two batteries are good. So
that's some great information that he has given us tonight, Lyle.
I agree.
Let's see.
Yeah, I'm trying to look through chat there.
Yeah, there's some questions about lithium batteries. I don't know enough about lithium batteries other than they are lighter weight. So
they're lighter weight. They are not as forgiving as a flooded lead acid battery, but they do have most of the ones you see in now. Most of the consumer ones, they have onboard BMS, which is a battery management system, and so you don't have to run an external BMS anymore. You used to have to. Lithium batteries. Let me see here. Now we're going to need the whiteboard here, and I think. All right. Get that. Let's find a marker.
Raise your camera up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me get bit of height. That's Lyle's height right now. We need more like.
Oh yeah. I had this thing in Dockery mode.
There we go. Beautiful.
All right. Look at that. So we start out. We've got.
Oh, it's Dockery.
All right, so we got Dockery there. He's mad because his battery's dead. But we're going to do 12 volt flooded. This is your typical batteries.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do 12 volt LiFePO4. Something like that. It's lithium. So if you have, let's say here's 13 volts. Let's say that's fully charged. And we got 0 over here. All right, let's see. We'll do it this way. 0. So if we're going to go, and this axis here is time. So over time going this way, our battery is going to start out, and a 12 volt flooded acid battery, fairly early on, he's going to start dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping until he levels out, and he's now at 0 volts. Very, very linear Very linear progression. That's your 12 volt flooded. Now, same thing with your lithium. 12 volt or 13 volt, 0, time still being our x-axis here. Lithium battery. He's going to run. Swoop, he's dead. So he's going to stay at a high voltage. He's going to stay at his base voltage a lot longer. But when a lithium battery tips over, he's going to dump off fast. So you got a slow trickle, but you're constantly losing voltage compared to, and it's, this is not to scale anything. This is just how they would look graphed out. But lithium battery going to hold its charge a lot longer. It's going to dump off faster. If you've ever used a cordless drill that's been made in the past 10 years, it's probably got a lithium battery. And Dan is absolutely right. Let me put that on screen. A higher voltage gives you a cleaner image on your graph too. That is the truth. And if you don't buy any other lithium batteries in your boat, if you get yourself even a 50 amp hour lithium and put that somewhere else in your boat, run only graph off of it, you'll love it. And you only get so much life from LiPo. And that's true. They've got a limited number of charge cycles, but 12 volt flooded has a limited number of charge cycles. 12 volt flooded's full of water. This one isn't. This is better, a little bit better dealing with temperature variance. Lithium batteries really don't like super cold weather, but neither do 12 volt batteries, or neither do flooded batteries. Batteries don't like super cold temperatures anyway. But lithium going to run a little bit better range. It comes down, the biggest thing with these is, we'll leave Dockery on there. I kind of like him. Now he's mad that I didn't erase him.
That sounds just like him.
Yeah. So let's see, we got lithium. We're just going to call them lift versus flood. It's going to be looking at cost in dollars.
No.
This is going to have the higher cost. Cost is equal to performance. So lithium going to cost you more, but you're going to get more performance out of it. Flooded cost you less, but you sacrifice a little bit of performance. It comes down to, I could buy one of these Group 31 batteries for around $100. Or last time I bought them, it was around $100. It's probably $200 now, thanks to inflation. But I don't have to pay 5 or 6 or more.
Joe Biden.
You okay there, Lyle? But I don't have to pay a whole lot more for lithium. There's definitely advantages.
And the weight.
And the weight is, God, I wish I had somebody, if somebody could look it up, the weight of a 100 amp hour lithium battery, because a Group 31 flooded battery is going to be about 75 pounds. And I want to say that they're around 25, so they're a third of the weight.
That sounds right.
That's off the top of my head. Bugman is right. The price of lithium has come down.
About 31 pounds.
Okay, there we go. 20 to 30, about 20 to 30. I said 25. That's about perfect. 28 pound LiPo, 100 amp hour. There we go. Thank you, guys. Parker, I wish I'd have lithium batteries if I had a OnlyFans. So, but I don't. So here I am with this is a little trick though. Autocraft, this is 29HM is the advanced auto parts number for this battery. They sell them as a group 29 battery. And I'll explain those here in a minute. But underneath that Autocraft advanced auto parts sticker is who really made the battery. It's a diehard gold. It's a group 31 diehard being sold as a group 29 at Advanced Auto. You save quite a bit of money by going with the Advanced Auto. It's the same battery. So let's get there. There was something. 12-volt batteries. 12-volt batteries, as a rule of thumb, is going to, what was that? Going to come in about 3 flavors. You're going to have group, there will be group codes, group 24, 27, and 31. There'll be some 29s hiding out. They might as well include those two in the same group. They're going to be and that's going to be the size. So these group 31s are about 13 inches wide. A group 24, a lot of your cars and trucks have 24 size batteries. They're about 10 inches wide, somewhere in there, 9 or 10 inches wide. So it's just a little bit narrower battery. And it comes down to space, but to save that space, you're also sacrificing a little bit of capacity. So get the biggest battery that you can afford, number one, but get the biggest battery you can fit in your battery compartment. If you can only if you only got room for a group 24 battery, then you've got to run a group 24 battery. But if you've got room for a group 31 and you could afford a group 31, don't cut your throat and put a group 24 in there. You know, just be a lot happier. The more you're never going to wish that you had less battery capacity. You're never going to be on the water going, man, I wish my trolling motor battery had died a little bit faster. You're never going to have that. But you will say, man, I wish I had another 10 minutes out here on the water. Or you will be out messing around and suddenly your trolling motor ain't working and it's moving along at the speed of smell. And you're going, man, I really wish I had a little bit more. That's how I found out my batteries. O'Reilly batteries I'll never buy again.
Oh, they're horrible.
They're awful. I bought them because my father-in-law was working at O'Reilly at the time, got me his discount on them. Super good price, but every time I turned around, the things were, it just, when you'd charge them, it'd charge them hot, and they'd lose their water, and you'd be out there on the water, and suddenly you didn't have any more trolling motor left, and it's like, what's going on? Sure enough, it's low on water again. And just in the time that we've been standing here talking about, 2 and 3 are now full. 1 is the only one left that's charging. So.
There's only a handful of companies that actually make batteries worldwide.
Right, there is.
There used to be 3, but there's more than that now.
Yeah, the big 3 used to be was it Excel, Johnson Controls, Exide, Johnson Controls, and there was one more.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they make them batteries for everybody, but they make them to their specifications. You know, if you got brand X battery over here and they say, well, we only want them to do this much for this amount of time, we need you to cut the cost, then they do what them companies want, even though they make them to their specifications. That's why some of the cheaper batteries don't last as long as some of the more expensive ones. But anymore, it doesn't really matter because 1 year warranty is basically all you get with any damn battery.
Oh yeah, pretty much. And this is
5 and 7 year warranties.
This is roughly a Group 24 battery. It's not a Group 24, but it's about as close as you're going to get without having one handy. This is a car battery, 624 MF Deca Gold. This is a reman. But you can see it's a smaller, physically smaller battery than a Group 31. So let's pull that thing out of there.
I had seen that Creole was talking about earlier, also considering the cost of a dedicated lithium charger as well. And we keep talking, he keeps talking about his NOCO there, and I talked about mine. You actually look at when you're ordering these online on Amazon. Do you see that?
There we go.
They have NOCOs that are, and this is a 3-bank. This is the Gen 10 Gen 10 3-bank, and it will say, "Hey, here we go." They will also it'll do both types of batteries and repair. The repair, like Josh was talking about.
I think there's a UFO.
Project Bluebeam.
I did not know they made chargers that would do both. I thought you had to have one or the other.
Yeah, a lot of your newer chargers now are
Very nice.
Are capable of doing both, and it's just lithium requires a little bit higher charging voltage to charge that battery, just because of the way that battery chemistry is. But a lot of the new ones coming out, especially your good battery, your good chargers, your name brand chargers, are going to be able to do both. I've got a Harbor Freight charger that I picked up, or Rural King or something, and it's got a switch you can flip.
Wow.
And so you can go back and forth.
Yeah, Dan Goobertime was talking about, if you watch like Black Friday, Amazon Day, stuff like that, that's actually the charger that I just showed you. I actually bought 2 and still didn't pay for the price of 1.
Yeah.
They're cheap.
No, they're not. They're not cheap chargers, but you're getting what you pay for. Remember that you're getting a charger that has, if you've got a 3-bank charger, you have 3 isolated outputs. The output going to battery 1 is completely isolated from the output going to battery 3. So if battery 3 suffers a catastrophic failure, you're not going to lose battery 1 because of it.
That's right.
So I mean and it's not, shouldn't backfeed up and tear up your charger. Amazon days are real good time. Anytime they're doing the Amazon, it seems like NOCO products are always on sale. You can catch rapid deals on those. eBay, if you look on eBay, there are a lot of sellers who will sell the previous model. Like Chad, yours, I believe, it's black, but I think it has like gold lettering or whatever in it. Doesn't it? White and gold or something?
I'm trying to remember. Yeah.
The previous generation had red. So there's nothing wrong with that charger, and it was brand new when I got it in. It was brand new when I took it out of the box, but it was about somewhere around $50 to $75 cheaper to go with that previous model.
Mm-hmm.
And with me still running conventional batteries, it did not change a thing for me. Can't find any
for your 24-month membership.
And I haven't priced a NOCO charger in quite a while. Just like everything else, it is probably the price that's gone up.
Well, it depends on what you're getting. They have the Gen 5 3-bank, they have the Gen 10 3-bank,
Yeah.
they have tons of different ones out there.
Yep, and
like
you can.
That I have here, I want to say it was around $400 for the charger, but with, like Josh was saying, if you watch, or it was like 3 something, it was a little less, maybe 400 when I bought it. They had them for 60% off.
And Dan is absolutely right here. If you are going lithium, do not buy the previous generation NOCOs. They don't do lithium. You have to have the newest generation. Thanks, Dan, for putting that in there.
60% off is a major deal.
Is a huge.
Especially when you're looking at prices like that, because I would never have in my life thought about paying something like.
And you can, you can save a little bit of money depending on what you're looking at. This 3-bank charger here is it's 4 amps per bank. So each one is charging the maximum it's going to give that battery is a 4 amp charge. So if you're deeply discharged, you've spent all day out there fishing a tournament, come in late at night, and you got to be back out there first thing in the morning. That's not going to have you back up to full strength in the morning. 4 amp charge is going to charge you good, but it's not going to charge it fast. Now the 4 bank that I have in my boat is a 4 by 10 amp, so each one is a 10 amp charge, capable of giving 10 amps of current to that battery.
And some of them are 4 by 15s.
Some of them are 4 by 15s, and I think you might go a little bit higher, but I mean you're starting to get up into some high current
and high dollar,
and here's the thing: if you can charge your battery at 2 amps, your battery life is being charged at 2 amps a whole lot better than it. It kind of comes down to, do you want to eat at your own pace, or do you want somebody to pry your throat open and force feed you? You'd rather eat at your own pace. You're going to feel better that way. The battery's the same thing, but the process of charging that battery, the chemical reaction required to do it, causes heat. Heat, in regards to anything electronic, heat is the worst enemy of anything electronics.
Hot and cold.
Hot and cold.
Hot and cold will take out starters, alternators, batteries, anything electrical. It will take them out. If they're weak, they're gone.
Yep. I noticed Sunday when I was headed out to fish the panfish tournament. You guys know, some of you all know what I went through last month about Mendota time. My HVAC controls, the actuators in my truck, one of them had messed up, so I had to replace that whole piece. Well, to do so, you have to more or less disassemble the whole lower part of the dash. And I figured while I was in there, I pulled out one of the old 12-volt power ports and replaced it with a double USB quick charge. And that little assembly also has a voltmeter in it, a digital voltmeter. And I was noticing when I was stopped, that the battery voltage was dropping down into the 12s. And my battery in my truck's a little bit old. I think we're probably reaching the point where I'm going to be looking at a new battery for the truck. But Danny said he could show you a neat trick with battery acid, aluminum foil, and a 20-ounce soda bottle. Drano does the same thing if we're speaking hypothetically. Heat will destroy an Android not as quickly as it'll destroy an iPhone.
That is very true.
Let's see here. Anybody else have any questions? We're running a little bit long. I know Mark from Catfish and Crappie is probably already out on the water now. He's going to be fishing in his new boat, so I don't want to run too far into his. But if anybody has any battery questions, what does a blinking red light mean on a no-code charger? It means the battery is not charging. If you have one fast flashing, it means you have a battery error. So that could be something as simple as there is any type of smart chargers. You're looking at a threshold voltage in order for them to charge. So if it drops below, some of them are pretty forgiving. They'll go down to about 8 volts. Others, cheaper chargers, about 11 volts is as far down as they'll read. Below that, the charger doesn't even see that the battery's there. And so it knows there's something there that, but it can't read that voltage, and it'll sit there and flash. But I do have a video on my channel showing how to, if you do have one that's below the threshold voltage and you can't kick your get a smart charger to kick in, I've got a video on my channel that does show how to trick that into. It does show how to trick that into making that charge, and after a little bit, you'll be able to charge those. You don't use marine batteries? What are they good for? I do use marine batteries.
Me too.
That's the only thing you'd want to use. These are a marine / RV battery. Deep cycle. You got to understand, starting batteries are designed to deliver a lot of current and then be left alone. Deep cycle batteries, which is what most of your marine batteries are designed that they can go into a further state. You can deeply discharge a deep cycle battery a whole lot more without damaging that battery than you can a starting battery. If you take the battery out of your truck and go use it on your 12-volt trolling motor all day, and you do that 2 or 3 times, you're going to be buying a new battery for your truck. But you can sit there and just completely, put a hurt on a deep cycle battery a few times, and it's going to be forgiving. I'm not saying you're not going to damage it, but it's made to go into deeper state of discharge. So when it comes to electricity, especially DC circuitry, DC circuits, wiring, any of that kind of stuff, that is kind of my forte. I've been doing it for years. I've had formal training and I've had life training. If I had to choose, probably the hands-on life training taught me a whole lot more than a teacher at a school. But the combination of the two has given me a very good grasp of the fundamentals of that. So anybody that has questions, if you think of one or you're watching it on the replay, check out my channel, The Weekend Angler. I've got a lot of battery-related videos on there. If you don't find what you're looking for, leave a comment on one of them. I'll get an answer to you. I'm pretty good about doing that. So,
Danny, that just with setting them on concrete just drains the voltage out of the batteries. It's just because they're concrete colder than the ambient air temperature, and it just can't hold the charge.
And it used to be more of an issue than what it is today.
Yeah, it did, because the batteries wasn't nearly as well made.
They weren't as well made. They weren't cased in plastic. An older battery, a lot of those had wood casings. If you go back, you can find a wood casing with glass inside there holding the electrolyte solution. I'd love if I ever find one of those old batteries, I'm buying it just to have as an example.
I remember working at a parts store as a kid, and the batteries come in dry, and you filled them up with electrolytes.
Mm-hmm. And you could still, like, if you buy a 4-wheeler you buy an ATV battery, it'll come with a little packet of stuff that you dump in each one of the things, and you pour the distilled water in. These batteries will come dry. But there's Pablo from Argentina. Hey, Pablo.
Glad to have you in here.
He said, "Here coming the winter is very cold." Ooh.
I hate that for you, but it
means it's our summertime, so I'm gonna have to.
I would love to come down to your country sometime and dove hunt. I understand you have abundances of those in our fall. But yeah, some great information tonight, Josh, and you've done a terrific job of explaining everything to people. And if you have any questions and you can't get a hold of Josh, you can always send one of us a message and we'll get it to him. But like I say, he's pretty easily accessible and can answer them questions. A lot of people don't understand how electricity works. If you understand how it works, everything comes together to where it's a lot easier to figure out how things work. Like I say, back in the old days, everything worked off a positive thing in cars, and now it all works off a grounding system. And you break the ground and you don't make the circuit. Well, it used to be you broke the positive to keep from making the circuit. Some of that's changed over the years, but now they're using things that work off of milliamps instead of voltage. So,
you can look at it just in the past 10 years, you really see a difference. Yeah. Look how many things that we had that ran off of 12 volts that are now USB powered. The USB is 5 volts. we have, and the way that we've been able to do that, you've seen the advent of brushless motors, and efficiency of electronic circuitry has gone way up. And so we can run a lower voltage because we don't need a higher voltage to do that same amount of work, because we have less total resistance in that circuit. But let's see. He said concrete doesn't affect the battery. It really doesn't anymore. You could set one on a concrete floor and charge it. It was the older ones you would run into trouble with, and a lot of that just had to be, just a lot of that was just the makeup of the casing of the battery. Google that if you ever get a chance. If you're a nerd like me about that kind of stuff, it's a very interesting read about charging batteries on leaving batteries on concrete floors. Really awesome read if you get a chance to read that one. So
electricity is like plumbing. Don't mix hot and cold and you'll have no problems. That's so very true.
And you know what's wild about that is they used to explain electricity by equating it to plumbing, because we knew how water flowed, and electrons flow the same way. Electrons flow. Now we have reached the point to where we know so much about electricity that they are now using electricity. They're relating plumbing to electricity to explain how water flows.
Yep.
So it has gone full circle. We're now using our understanding of electricity to explain plumbing. But really neat thing there.
It is.
But in the next, if I had to guess, sometime in the next 5 years, we're going to see we're going to see lithium batteries become very affordable. There's not a whole lot of places in the U.S., if there are any at all anymore, producing new lead. Flooded lead acid batteries are going away whether we want them to or not.
Yeah, and we don't. I don't.
I don't want them to go away because I like them. But I tell you what, if I could go from having 200, almost 250 pounds of weight, actually more than that in the back of the boat, because I have 4 batteries.
Yeah.
4 at 75, that's 300 pounds. If I could go from that to having 120 pounds of weight in the back.
I carry 6 batteries in my boat.
And yours is not that big a boat.
And wow, Chad.
Plus me.
So I mean, I'm looking forward to the day that lithiums are affordable enough that I can replace them.
Well, if they want to sell them, they got to get the price down. That's just the way it is.
And that's the thing. That's the breaking point for a lot of people on it. I think we will reach the point where the market will dictate it, and the price will come. The price will come down. Somebody will enter the market and be willing to sell this for a lower price, and the big names who have made all their money already and got into it in the beginning, they're going to follow suit, or they're going to go away. The price.
Chad and Mark, they're both making money.
Look. Just 10 or 12 years ago, look how much it cost for a side imaging sonar unit. Now you can get one on the entry level unit for a couple $100. You can have side scan.
You can buy a 7-inch bird for what, $500 or $600 brand new?
7-inch helix is $500. You can buy a 7-inch Garmin if you're willing to sacrifice a chart plotter. You can buy a 7-inch Garmin with side scan for about $250, $300 when they catch them on sale. So
you can get a Garmin when they go on sale for $500, $600.
Yeah. So I mean,
what about one of them TV screen size ones like you got, Chad?
Every once in a while you'll catch them on sale, but it's still going to cost you about $15
or more.
But no.
One thing about electronics is the bigger they are, the easier they are to read. It's
Yep.
just the way it is.
Yep, that's the thing. By the
7-inch ones, they're for young kids with good eyesight.
Those 12-inch screens, man, I see so much more on that 12-inch screen than I ever did the 7. and I could not imagine trying to read side scan on a 5-inch screen.
No,
People do it. More power to them. I am impressed that you can do it.
You have to have a magnifying glass.
I can't. So
can't do
I need at least a 93, if not another 106.
I just need to figure out a way to output the video on one of these to, something standardized like HDMI or DisplayPort, and then you can get you a big 32-inch monitor, and you just parallel it right over to that.
Yeah, I know Ricky Bracken done it years ago. He had one hooked up on a 1199 Humminbird.
Oh man,
15-inch monitor when that was unheard of. But it wasn't waterproof,
Oh yeah,
it wasn't waterproof, but he had it plumbed in there. I don't remember how he got it done. It was a long time ago in those days. He was the only cat around that had anything near like that in his boat. Man. He was the first guy to ever put a 300 Mercury engine on a Sea Arc, 24-foot Sea Arc too, and he got all that done. And everybody said, "Oh, you can't do it." They won't put it. Well, he got it done.
That's an achievement. I'm surprised that one didn't go.
Well, don't get me started on that.
Anyway,
we're running long. I know Mark I got the notification a second ago. Mark has gone live on the christening voyage of his new boat. Yeah, go stop by and show Mark some love tonight, guys. He's out there fishing. He's out there on his new boat.
I think it's raining.
Yeah, I think he did. I think I did see him say earlier that it was raining up there too. So
you know what? I bet he doesn't care.
I wouldn't.
Probably not.
I wouldn't. So
seriously, great job tonight, Josh. It was
a great show. I knew it would be, and I think we answered a lot of questions for a lot of people, even though there was not a lot of questions asked. And like I say, if there's anything that we can do for you, one of us will get the message to Josh, or just get a hold of him.
Send me a message or leave me a comment on one of my videos, and I'm pretty good about answering those questions. Buckeye, we did not touch on that. I have no experience with the Amazon lithium battery. I want to change that. I've been looking at making a power bank, and probably going to use one of those Amazon lithiums just to try it out. So.
I have zero lithium experience at this point, so that's my answer.
I thought you were prescribed that.
And on that note, good night, everybody.
Have a great week, y'all.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next Thursday or next Monday night.
See ya.